for the OKPREPS Roundup. The most comprehensive high school sports show heard all year round.
Let's see what you got.
OKPREPS Roundup is on the air. Now, here are your hosts, Ben Johnson and Michael Knight.
Radio, 97.1 FM, as well as 96.1 FM. Man, you just jacked up my headphones. Ben Johnson. What's going on, man? Week number 2.
How are you? Sorry, I didn't mean to mess with your mic over there. Or your headphones.
Not only did you mess with my headphones, you messed with my mic. Your mic's cut. What about now?
There we go.
There we go. All right. Welcome in.
I was all thrown off as to why I couldn't hear you at all.
Here, this is what happened. Last week was flawless, so this week had to start.
So we're off to just a great start now.
Just a hiccup to start. Welcome into the OKPREPS Roundup here on your home for sports, the Sports Animal, as well as online on the OKPREPS Network. He has Ben Johnson. I am now Michael Knight with a microphone that works. What's up? Going on every Saturday morning here. It's been a weird week as far as a lot of things going on in the variety of sports. We're going to dive into it on the high school level. The top 3 big stories this week, in my opinion, just looking at everything that was going on. First, we found out yesterday, news kind of started breaking on Thursday, that Victory Christian's football coach, Brent Marley, would resign. He's been extremely successful over the last couple of years and has really revitalized that Victory Christian football program. He has decided to step down, which kind of sent shockwaves. Obviously, it's only 3A football, but at the same time, it's extremely talented 3A football, and by no means is he leaving the cupboard bare there at Victory Christian. A lot of talent. Whoever takes over that program is taking over a successful program.
Yeah, like you said, it's 3A football, but we're talking about a program where you're going to walk in, you have no doubt who your quarterback is, Keats Calhoun. Then you have John Michael Terry on both sides of the ball. You have to feel great about that. Then you have Adesha Khan back as well.
Right.
I mean, you don't, as a new coach, you're going to come right in and basically just start game planning because there's not going to be a whole lot of roster spots.
Yeah,
that need to be decided.
No, not at all. It's going to be fun to see that quarterback race, so to speak, between both Calhoun and Mason Fine at Locust Grove to see who ends up with the career passing yardage mark, because both of them are on pace to just blow by LT Plaff of Atoka, who broke the record several years ago, which was previously held by Paul Smith.
Right.
His father, Ron Smith,
is on staff.
Is a Victory Christian assistant coach.
Right.
Does Ron get the call to be the head coach at Victory? We don't know. But we will have Brent Marley on later on in this hour to discuss his decision to step down. Earlier this week, Broken Arrow and Bishop Kelly both made the state tournament last year in baseball. They squared off in a back-to-back. Broken Arrow went on the road on Monday and knocked off Bishop Kelly. They were trailing at 1.5-0. They scored 3 in the top of the 7th to rally to a 7-6 victory. You can catch the replay of that game on the OKPREPS Network. I watched it via the OKPREPS Network on Monday evening after I got off work.
There you go.
An exciting finish to a very good comeback for BA. Bishop Kelly came back the next day. Charlie Case throws a complete game shutout and gets a little revenge for the Comets and a 3-0 win. Both of those teams competing in the Tiger Trojan Classic right now, a tournament co-hosted by both Broken Arrow and Jinx. And Jinx is rolling through that tournament. We'll talk a little bit about that later on in this segment. But Broken Arrow and Bishop Kelly meeting earlier this week, we could see those teams both back into the 6A state tournament.
Well, with BA and Bishop Kelly, District 6A3 is kind of rounding into form. You're figuring out who the top 3 are. BA has a big series coming up with Union. Teams like Ponca City, Bixby, Enid, Bartlesville, and Booker T. They're going to be fighting for that 4th spot pretty much. I would say BA, Union, and Bishop Kelly are going to kind of have a free-for-all to see who can end up landing those top 2 spots to get a home regional.
And then finally, on Wednesday, the OSSA met for their monthly meeting and discussed a wide variety of topics, one of which was the upcoming state tournaments for baseball. We nailed down the sites there, as well as the contract being expired with ORU for the 6A and 5A basketball state tournaments. They decided that they were going to go ahead and send out proposals for bids to several arenas around the state, mainly in the Tulsa and Oklahoma City area, one down in Norman with OU. But they're wanting possibly to move the 6A and 5A state tournament. It's basically open to the highest bidder, and we actually have a poll right now. If you're watching us on the OKPREPS network, right below the video player, it's easy to find. You can vote for your choice between the ORU's Mabee Center. Do you want to see it stay at the magnificent Mabee Center? Do you want to see it move in Tulsa and go over to TU at the Reynolds Center? You can also take it to downtown to the BOK Center, the Oklahoma City options, Chesapeake Arena, as well as the Cox Business Center, and then, of course, OU's Lloyd Noble Center, which we launched this poll yesterday. We've already had some great feedback from the fans around the state. Chesapeake Arena just running away with the vote already. But at the same time, what's funny is the Cox Business Center's dead last out of the group. And it's because it's right next to Chesapeake. So if you're going to go downtown Oklahoma City, why play in the Cox Business Center when you can play in Chesapeake Arena? Are you kidding me? There's no question here.
Well, people are aware that Kevin Durant will not be playing, right?
He won't be. He might be. Hey, by next year, maybe he's back to basketball activities.
Well, he has nothing to do right now, so I guess he could just hang out at a state tournament game right now. But we're past that, so
he could help. Maybe shoot. Maybe.
Yeah,
that's a tough situation.
I'm looking forward to talking about that a little bit later on and kind of picking our brains as to where we would like to see it go.
Yeah, we will talk about that in our last segment. You have time to vote right now. If you're listening on radio, you can get to okpreps.tv/roundup, and right below the video player, you can vote on your selection as to where you would like to see the 6A and 5A state tournament, which, by the way, I know that some people asked, the big house is not an option as of right now. They would have to completely readdress how they schedule the state tournament. And they were talking about, why not just have all of them there? Like, not even move the smaller schools somewhere else. They were just saying, why don't we start on Wednesday and have championships on Friday and Saturday? Championship Saturday at the big house is already hectic enough.
Right.
Splitting it into 2 days, it might be a nightmare. But
yeah, if you have championship games already at 9:30 at night, you're looking at championship games at about 1:30 in the morning.
Exactly. Hey, let's just start at 5 a.m. and go until midnight.
Midnight Madness.
Exactly. Hey, doesn't for these kids.
Yeah.
Doesn't matter what time we're playing. If we're playing for a championship, that's all that matters.
Right.
All right, let's dive into some baseball this week, Ben, as it was played all across the state of Oklahoma. Some tournaments starting up this weekend. We already mentioned the Tiger Trojan Classic, also a big tournament happening in Chickasha. But teams getting off of spring break, a lot of teams didn't take the week off and continued to play, whether it was in Florida or in Arizona. But in Florida is where we'll start. As the Owasso Rams, we had Coach Larry Turner on last week. They were playing later that day against Lake Wales, not in a tournament, but just in a regular season game out of Florida. They ended up losing. So I'm not going to say that we jinxed the Rams, but I'm not saying that we jinxed the Rams.
Well, I mean, if you're going to Florida, odds are you're going to be facing someone pretty good. So we can't take too much burden. I think Larry would probably give us a pass.
I think so too. I don't think he's going to shun us the rest of the season.
I don't think they mess around when it comes to baseball in Florida.
Right.
I mean, there's not a whole lot of hockey, so you might as well play some baseball in the spring.
Got to do something. You got to do something outside. That's right. Well, the Rams did end up going into that Central Florida Classic. Their first game actually got rained out, so they only played 2 games. They won both of them, so they go 3-1 during their trip to Florida. The only loss was 2-1 to Lake Wales on last Saturday. So Owasso losing their first game of the season. Like I mentioned, Broken Arrow and Bishop Kelly splitting the home and home on Monday and Tuesday. The Tigers scoring 3 in the top of the 7th to win 7-6. And on Tuesday, Charlie Case throwing a complete game shutout and a 3-0 win. And I read the article in the Tulsa World about Charlie Case, and Bishop Kelly excited about the potential he has as becoming the number 2 starter behind Josh Limes.
Yeah, I mean, that's the big thing in high school baseball. You get those first 2 starters. I mean, I know if you're going to make a run to the state championship, you need a 3rd starter. But as long as you have top two guys, you have to feel pretty confident every time you're going in to one of these regular season series because you give yourself a chance. To win one, you'd like to win both, but if you can split, you can do that. Or, come playoff time, you need as many quality starters as you can get. I mean, teams that just have one stud typically don't do as well because he's got to rest his arm sometime.
Yeah.
So you need guys that can just get up on the mound and throw quality innings. So, and if Bishop Kelly has that, you have to feel pretty good going forward.
I mean, we've seen the pitching come into play several times. A couple years ago when Broken Arrow won state, ended up being claimed the national champions.
Right.
In 2011, Archie Bradley went in the state championship game. Dylan Bundy did not pitch because he had pitched on Thursday. Larry Turner decided to go with Bundy in the first round, did not bring him back for the championship game. Perhaps that cost the Rams, but hindsight is 2020. But it is interesting to see how that pitching debate continues throughout the years, and Bishop Kelly perhaps has a solid number two.
That strategy for coaches is always, it's got to weigh on you heavily. You don't know which way you want to go. I mean, to make the championship game, you have to win Thursday, Friday.
Yep.
So it's always, how do we want to approach this? Which is
don't play for tomorrow when you still have a game today.
Sure, absolutely, and that's always fascinating to me. How you end up, mapping out your starting pitching is always very interesting to me.
It's not necessarily on the west side. One of those weird in-between teams, Stillwater. They knocked out Putnam City in back-to-back earlier this week. They played Westmore last night. And maybe the Jaguars are for real. Westmore getting a 4-2 victory over the Pioneers. Stillwater was undefeated coming into that matchup. They had won 7 straight, dating back to last year. They're, of course, the defending 6A state champs. So Stillwater's win streak coming to an end at 14 games as Westmore comes into Stilley and walks away with a 4-2 victory. Stillwater can bounce back later on today. They have a doubleheader district meeting with the Muskogee Roughers, but maybe the Westmore Jags are for real.
Yeah. I mean, in any of these West Side schools, I mean, anytime you're in the vicinity of Carl Albert, you better know how to play some baseball. So, I mean, anytime we're talking about West Side baseball, it's hard to find some teams that really aren't, don't have a lot of depth and a lot of quality. And, I mean, Westmore right now haven't played a whole lot of games, just like most teams in the state. But, I mean, 6-2, 2-0 in the district, right there with Edmond Memorial and Midwest City. You would probably expect Westmore and Edmond Memorial to probably end up battling it out by the end.
And then finally in Class 6A, Edmond Santa Fe, they are winners of 7 straight after dropping their first game to Westmore back earlier this month. They went to a Florida tournament. They went undefeated there. Then they swept a back-to-back with Mustang earlier this week and knocked out Edmond North on the road, an impressive victory 8-2, but maybe Edmond North isn't what they have been over the last couple of years. Santa Fe looks strong again. They've won 7 straight, and they got a relatively easy schedule next week. They'll take on Lawton a couple of times, Southmore a couple of times, but by the end of the season, they will have some tough tests for sure, with 2 meetings with Choctaw still left on the schedule. They end the season with a road game at UConn. Carl Albert still left on the schedule. So a lot of tests still remaining for Edmond Santa Fe, but they have won 7 straight, and they're looking real good right now. In Class 5A, I mentioned the tournament down in Chickasha, a very interesting championship meeting later on today around 2:30 as Carl Albert, the 3-time 5A state champs, will face off with Elgin, a team ranked number 5 in Class 4A. And over the last several years, 4A has been wide open. We've had, I believe, 5 different state champs in the last 6 years. Carl Albert and Elgin setting off a 5A, 4A showdown in Chickasha. They'll take on each other at 2:30 later on this afternoon. Both teams have gone 3-0 so far in the tournament. Carl Albert has to be considered the favorite, though, right?
No, I mean, look at their scores in the tournament. I know 5-2 starting off against Cash is pretty good. There's probably a good chance Cash probably threw their number 1. There's probably that's probably why 5-2 was the score. But Carl Albert just turns it on yesterday, 10-1 Midwest City, 10-1 against Lawton. So they seem to be in midseason form as Carl Albert typically is this time of year.
Other than the Carl Albert news, 5A baseball pretty much went as you would expect. Not a whole lot of marquee games this week.
Right.
All the top teams pretty much handled their business and moved on. So we'll go ahead and move on as well down to Class 4A baseball. Tuttle, they had a tough schedule this week where they would face they would have 4 games against 4A top 12 teams, and they went 4-0. 2 victories against number 5 Elgin. We just talked about them. 1 game against number 8 Kingfisher, and they got another win against number 12 Bethany. So Tuttle, I'll tell you what, and it was really impressive after they lost to Elgin last week, to bounce back, get 2 straight wins, plus another win against a top 10 team in Kingfisher, and then another win against a Bethany team that's right there on the verge of possibly being in the top 10.
Well, we just got done talking about Westmore, and then they play Westmore today at noon, so should be a pretty good test for both teams.
Right, exactly. It's been a brutal week for Tuttle as far as the schedule. There hasn't been a whole lot of a letdown there.
And then you get number 5 Blanchard next week, so it just keeps on coming.
Yeah, it doesn't get easy, that's for sure. Dropping down to Class 3A, Vian remaining undefeated. They've been handling their business so far this year. They have a big week ahead as they'll take on 3A's number 8 Spyro, 2A's number 12 Oktaha, and Class B's number 2 Red Oak. So Vian, the chances that we're talking at this time next week about Vian still being undefeated, if you had to put a percentage on it, what would it be?
30% maybe.
Man,
I mean, look at some of these scores. I mean, they're clearly their offense is not hurting. I mean, scored in double figures every time out, minus 2 games, and one of those games was against number 1 Leedy, and that's 9-0. They're almost scoring.
But
too.
you think there's a 70% chance
they
lose a game?
30% chance they're still undefeated by this time next week.
I know. So that means that 70%.
Right.
I'm not good at math.
Let's not get into math. We're just going to make ourselves look really bad.
That's right. That's about right. I got what you're saying. Vian, I'll tell you what, they might be a serious threat to Verdigris, a team that has won 4 consecutive 3A state championships. Speaking of Verdigris, we're going to have their coach, Brian Keith, on later on in this hour. In fact, in our next segment. Jones, another team in Class 3A that is undefeated no longer, as they took on Chandler last night. Another top 10 team in Class 3A went extra innings, and Jones falls for the first time 4-3 to Chandler. And finally in Class 2A, speaking of Chandler, again they fall to Dale earlier this week. Dale, one of the top teams in Class 2A, and they really handled Chandler on Tuesday night, 10-4 victory for Dale. So a pretty entertaining week so far for baseball around the state of Oklahoma. The Tiger Trojan Classic again taking place right now. We have games that have already started at Broken Arrow and Jinx. Bishop Kelly taking on Mustang. Edmond Memorial taking on Tulsa Memorial at Jinx. Later on this morning, Broken Arrow will face Moore and Deer Creek will face Jinx. The Trojans have already locked up their spot in the tournament championship game. If Bishop Kelly gets a win over Mustang, then they will join the Trojans in the title game, as Jinx is undefeated in pool play, Bishop Kelly 2-1. All the other teams are either 1-1 or 1-2. So with a win, Bishop Kelly will advance to this afternoon's championship game against the Jinx Trojans. But Jinx looking strong, undefeated, haven't lost yet. Will they lose against Deer Creek in about an hour and a half? I doubt it, but at the same time, you never know.
Right. I would, if we're guessing, I would say Jinx wins and starts preparing for probably Bishop Kelly. You know, Mustang beat Broken Arrow, so they very well could.
It could happen.
They very well could be there, but I don't know. Bishop Kelly to me is just kind of an overall stronger team at this point.
What was kind of mind-blowing was on Thursday, Edmond Memorial really putting it on Broken Arrow, 17-4.
Right.
And you're thinking to yourself, man, are they a team on the west side that could make a run in Class 6A? With Edmond North potentially being down, could Edmond Memorial step up and turn into a west side contender along with teams like Santa Fe and Westmore?
Well, I don't want to take anything away from Edmond Memorial, but I think Shannon Dobson is probably smart enough to know that these tournaments, while it's good quality competition, those games that matter are those district games.
Yes.
So you get to the weekend play, get into these tournaments, maybe you throw some young guys out there, see what they're made of. So come late April, you kind of look back and be like, remember the Sedmon Memorial game when we just got manhandled?
Right.
Let's not let that happen. Let's learn from it. So, I see a 17-4, but I also see probably Broken Arrow trying to take some learning steps out of that game.
Speaking of Shannon Dobson, we're about to talk with him after this opening time out. When we come back, we'll have Broken Arrow head coach Shannon Dobson as well as Verdigris head coach Brian Keith in our next segment. Later on in hour number 1, we're going to hear from now former Victory Christian football coach Brent Marley. He'll join the program to talk about his decision to step down. But coming up next, we got Shannon Dobson as well as Brian Keith. We're talking some more baseball on the other side of this time out. He's Ben Johnson. I'm Michael Knight. And this is the OKPREPS Roundup here, both on your home for sports, the Sports Animal, and the OKPREPS Network.
This is Sean Garner, owner and head strength coach of Excel Performance Training. Being Oklahoma's only MBSC Thrive licensed facility, we're going to help athletes with injury reduction, avoid overuse injuries, and of course, get you bigger, faster, and stronger. We want you to be able to move properly in our controlled environment, so when you're playing on the field or court, it becomes second nature. All athletes will have a detailed workout plan and work in groups of less than 10 other athletes. So if you're ready to go all in and train with the pros, call us at 918-949-4223 or online at excelperformancetraining.com. Next season starts now with Excel Performance Training. Licensed facility, we're going to help athletes with injury reduction, avoid overuse injuries, and of course, get you bigger, faster, and stronger. We want you to be able to move properly in our controlled environment, so when you're playing on the field or court, it becomes second nature. All athletes will have a detailed workout plan and work in groups of less than 10 other athletes. So if you're ready to go all in and train with the pros, call us at 918-949-4223 or online at excelperformancetraining.com. Next season starts now with Excel Performance Training.
Since 1963, my papa, Duke Dunn, made sure he could carry as many Ford trucks as he could and to sell them at the best price possible. Because he didn't just want you for a customer want, he wanted you and your family to buy from Dunn for life. Not much has changed since then. The Dunn Ford family in Stigler, Oklahoma, still carries a big city selection of new Ford trucks and good old country prices. Right now during Ford Truck Month, you can double your savings with already low Dunn Ford prices, plus Ford Truck Month discounts. See, things really are cheaper in the country. These are just some of the things we have on sale this week at Dunn Ford in Stigler, where we add to our family one Ford at a time. Remember, Dunn Ford keeps it simple and leaves all the smoke and mirrors and sells gimmicks to the city dealers. Come see us at 203 West Main Street in Stigler, Oklahoma, or visit DunnFordCompany.com.
Kevin Ward here, up on another roof with Roofscapes Exteriors owner Clint Vaughn. Whose roof are we on this time? Man, this thing is worn out.
We're actually on a roof of a fellow Tulsa resident who's been nominated for our No Roof Left Behind program.
No roof left behind?
That's right. Every year we give away and install a free roof to a Tulsa County resident who has fallen on some hard times and simply can't get it done otherwise. If people know of someone who may be a candidate, they can go to our website, roofscapesexteriors.com, to nominate themselves or someone else.
Wow, that's awesome, Clint. Good for you.
Actually, good for a deserving person in Tulsa. The nomination period is open now until April 22nd. Then 4 finalists are picked. Then the community can vote on a winner beginning April 30th. The winner will be revealed on June 1st, and it all ends with an installation celebration June 13th. But people have to go to our website, roofscapesexteriors.com, to nominate themselves or someone else.
That is good for someone. Hey, I wasn't involved in some calamity this commercial.
Oh, there's still time. We need to go down the ladder.
As whiskey goes, there's none any more rare than Middleton. While you have to wait up to 25 years to enjoy this premium blended Irish whiskey, you do not have to wait to enjoy Middleton's Bar and Grill in South Tulsa. It's now open for lunch and dinner every day. The grill features Irish nachos, fish and chips, and a whole lot more, including the 32 Counties burger, ground sirloin topped with the signature onion maple spread, which you'll get free when you buy a shot of Middleton whiskey. The Middleton Bar has 25 beers on tap with the best bottle selection in South Tulsa. Tuesday night is Guys Night. Get a bucket of Bud Light for just $7.50. Wednesday night is Ladies Night. Ladies, take advantage of $1.50 bottles of Michelob Ultra. Sunday, mimosas are just $1 at brunch. Root on your team in the college basketball tournament on any of 13 large screen and 2 80-inch screen TVs. All at the brand new Middleton's Bar and Grill, where you have to be over 21 to enter, right there on the corner of 81st and Mingo in Tulsa.
At Classic Chevrolet, we are 27 years strong.
Why?
Why?
We take the hassle out of your car buying experience.
How?
We have the knowledge and the experience to help you find the right car.
We have over 1,000 reasons why we are 27 years strong. We believe in building your trust. We want to be your preferred Chevy store.
We don't want to just sell you a car. We want to help you buy a car.
27 years strong at Classic Chevrolet in Owasso, where a handshake matters. ClassicChevrolet.net.
The sports animal. The sports animal.
Welcome back. Am I Mariano Rivera now? Can I
yeah.
be, since he's retired? Can I just claim this song?
You're the Sandman.
That's right. I don't know about that. Welcome back to the OKPREPS Roundup here on your home for sports, the sports animal, as well as streaming all around the world. OKPREPS.tv/Roundup. He is Ben Johnson. I am Michael Knight, and joining us on the phone right now, we're not going to make him wait any longer because he's got a baseball game coming up in about 2 hours from right now, as Broken Arrow will take on Moore at Broken Arrow High School as part of the Tiger Trojan Classic. He is BA Tiger head coach Shannon Dobson. Coach, first off, thanks for taking some time this morning to join us on the program. How are you?
Doing fine. I appreciate you guys having me on.
Well, Coach, let's go back to Monday real quick before we talk about the tournament right now, as well as your team. You're down 5-0. You get all the way back to about a 5-4 deficit. Then Bishop Kelly tacks on another run. You're down to your final 3 outs, and you guys have 3 runs in the top of the 7th. Are you happy with that late rally on the road against a really good quality Bishop Kelly team?
Oh, always when you get a win, you're happy about the win. We weren't too happy in the first couple of innings giving up 5, to get ourselves in that situation. But, it just showed a little character on our part to be able to keep battling and scrapping a little bit, because Bishop Kelly obviously is a good club, being in the finals last year, and we were up against a good left-handed pitcher, and we were happy to see him go out, after the 6th inning, and it just kind of opened it up for us to have that 3-run rally there late. So overall, we were happy about the win, and we just got to play a little better in the opening innings.
A couple years ago, you guys claimed the state championship in 2011 in a huge title victory over the Owasso Rams. What has to happen for Broken Arrow to not only get back to the state championship game this year, but to claim another state title?
Well, we graduated a lot of kids from last year's club, so we only had 2 returning starters from last year. So we basically a whole new team, and a lot of guys that haven't played at the varsity level until this year. So we still got a lot of work to do to get to that point. And we're just like everybody else. We're still in a filling out process of trying to see what guys are going to contribute in certain ways, and rotating our lineup a lot, and hopefully, we've learned a little bit about our club. We're getting closer to where we think we need to be as far as keeping a set lineup, and just really getting better and getting a little more confidence playing at this level, and the speed of the game and so forth. So it's just getting that rhythm, and late getting hot. It's about like any club, is getting late at the right or getting hot at the right time. So we still got a lot of work to do, but feel like we got a chance to get there at the end.
Hey, Shannon. It's Ben Johnson. Thanks for joining us. How valuable is Harrison Whitworth on this program? I mean, and how easy does he make your job being the catcher and being the team leader out there on the field?
Well, it just, we trust him a lot. And, he's a guy that does have that experience. Him and Devin Johnson are really the only 2 guys back from last year's club that had a lot of playing experience. So that being such a crucial position, and, we got a brand new staff, we put a lot of trust in him to take those guys under his wing, and he makes a lot of trips to the mound that we don't have to, and he knows what we're thinking. So and we entrust him with calling pitches and stuff like that. So he's very valuable to us. Plus, he's done a great job from the offensive end too. And he went from a guy that was hitting in the 7 and 8 hole last year to our 3-hole guy, and has done a great job for us. Had a great Arizona trip, and has just really been consistent there as well. So he's very valuable for us.
We're talking with Broken Arrow head coach Shannon Dobson here on the OK Preps Roundup, not only on your home for sports, the sports animal, but streaming all over the world on the OK Preps network. Coach, you've seen some West Side teams in this tournament that you're co-hosting with Jinx. What are your thoughts on the West Side? I know you saw Edmond Memorial on Thursday night. You've seen Mustang, another team that has done some damage. Westmore is a team that's has some really quality wins. They beat Stillwater last night, as well as, of course, Edmond Santa Fe. What are your thoughts on the West Side? How dangerous could that group of teams be? And could we see a potentially another West Side state champ in 6A? Or is it going to be about the Big Four in the Tulsa metro area again?
Well, I just think probably this year more than any other, it's wide open. And there are some quality West Side teams that I think will have a chance at the end as well. And I think, just the way the format is in single elimination and so forth, I think anybody could win. It's just going to be matchups and who's hot at the right time. But the West Side has proven, they come over here and beat some teams in our tournament. They laid, Ed Memorial laid one on us the other night. So there are some really good teams on that side. And, from the Big Four over here, I don't think there's anybody that's really dominant. So it's just a situation that anybody could win this year, and you just never know what you're going to get at the end. So it's pretty well wide open.
And finally, we'll let you get out of here on this fun question to end this conversation. You obviously coached Archie Bradley, who's in the Arizona Diamondbacks farm system right now, part of spring training there. Will this finally be the year that Archie gets called up to the big leagues?
Well, when we were out in Arizona, we were real fortunate. We got to see Archie throw against the Giants. He started against the Giants, and we were out there. Our normal routine is to go see a big league game on that Sunday that we get in. So we got to see him. Andy Wilkins was with the Chicago White Sox playing up with the big club and on the 40-man roster. And Jackson Williams, who was with the Angels, has just recently been traded to the Giants. So we got to see Archie pitch and he did a great job that day. He gave up a couple runs. One run shouldn't have been scored just because of misplayed ball in the outfield. And he's had another good start. And I think he's actually starting today. It might be his final start before they make a decision, and he's put a lot of pressure on them to keep him. And I think if he doesn't break camp with the big club, that at some point this will be the year that he goes up and potentially stays up there with them. So I think it's this start today is a big start for him, and if he has a good outing, there's a possibility he could stick. If not, he'll be up there I think within a month or so.
Well, Coach, thanks for taking some time this morning. Good luck in a couple hours as you guys finish off the pool play at the Tiger Trojan Classic in an 11:30 game there at Broken Arrow against Moore. Good luck in that one, and good luck the rest of the season. I'm sure we'll catch up a couple of times before it's all said and done.
Well, thank you, guys. Appreciate you having us on.
All right, that's Broken Arrow head coach Shannon Dobson joining the program. We jumped from one solid program to another, one program that knows a whole lot about winning over the last couple of years. Verdigris head coach Brian Keith joins the program. The Cardinals are the four-time Class 3A state champs. And Coach Keith, first off, thanks for joining the program. I'm gonna give an easy question right out of the gate, because you're winning 4 straight championships. You're in pursuit of championship number 5. Does winning ever get old?
No, it's great. It's been a great 4 years. I think the pressure builds and builds and builds. I think I put more pressure on myself, but kids have bought into it. They've had a great attitude, and we just keep plugging away every day and staying focused on our goal.
Well, let me ask you this about this 2015 squad. Is there anything different about this team, maybe personnel, how they act off the field, whatever it may be? Is there anything that separates this team from your championship teams of the past, or has Verdigris become the marquee program, and you always look for to reach that status where you're a program that reloads, you don't rebuild, and it doesn't matter who the guys are on the field, they always look the same. Is there anything different about this squad, or have you reached that status?
You know, it hadn't changed much. We lost a couple of good kids from last year, and we had to move some kids around, put them in the right spot. But the one thing I think separates this team from other teams we've had in the past is they got a tremendous work ethic. They're always working on the game, whether it's in practice or outside of practice. They spend a lot of time on it. But like I said earlier, they know who we are, and they know they've got to put the time and their commitment to it. And they did an outstanding job to this point. I think right now we're not playing our best baseball, but we've got a little bit of ways to go. We've got some things we need to clean up, so hopefully we're playing our best baseball in the end.
We talked about this team in our first segment, another squad in Class 3A that has really grabbed some headlines so far is Vian. Maybe not grabbed headlines, but they've definitely opened some eyes. They have a tough week ahead of them, facing several good teams, Spiro, Oakdaha, as well as Red Oak, in a brutal week for them coming up. So whether or not they're undefeated at this time next week, who knows? But how dangerous do you think Vian is this season, and are they your number one threat to a possible fifth straight championship?
Yeah, Vian has always been an outstanding program. Coach Brockman does an outstanding job with them. And, you know, that's one team that is going to stand in our way to hopefully five-peak this thing. But there's a lot more schools than Vian. Vian's a great team, but we've got Kansas, Adair. There's a bunch of teams up northeast corner that are a lot better this year. And of course, Kansas, who we played last year for a state championship. And they've got all their arms back on the mound, and they maybe have the best staff, you know, in the state of Oklahoma in 3A. So there's a lot of good teams out there. I know there's some teams on the West I've heard in the last few weeks that are playing pretty well right now. So we've got a tough task ahead of us. We've got to start playing a little bit better than what we are right now. It's still early, but these kids keep grinding, and they know who we are. So we've got to get out there and stay focused and do what we do, and we'll be fine.
We're talking with Verdigris head coach Brian Keith here on the OKPREPS Roundup, not only on your home for sports, the sports animal, but online at okpreps.tv/roundup. Coach, your schedule as far as the next several weeks, you have some tough matchups, but at the same time, it's hard to ignore that last week of the schedule where you'll face Berry Hill, you'll take on Dewey on the road, as well as the Kansas team in the season finale on the road. How do you keep this squad focused on the here and now and focused on facing, an Inola in a back-to-back, a Catoosa, or traveling to Nowata? How do you keep them focused and saying, hey, guys, we got to win these games to continue to play well for that last week of the schedule?
You know, we talk about it. We take it one game at a time. We've got Dewey on Monday, and it's, an outstanding rivalry between us and Dewey. It's a conference game, and we know what's ahead of us in the Adair tournament. We'll run into Dewey possibly again. Then we've got Adair and Kansas, which both are going to should be in the top 15 in 3A, which I think they both are right now. So we just take it one game at a time. The biggest thing is trying to get ourselves better. We don't put a lot of time in, who we're going to play. We just got to try to get ourselves better from game to game, and hopefully we can start playing a little bit better than what we are right now.
And finally, we'll get you out of here on this. 4 straight championships. You win another one, you get that ring for the old thumb with 5 straight. What has to happen for Verdigris to not only skate through the waters of the regular season, avoid getting upset by one of these other teams that have gotten really better over the last couple of years, and winning that 5th straight championship?
Right. We've got all of our pitching back from last year, and that's the biggest reason why we've won it the last 4 years. We've always had a great staff. But I think we're a little bit underachieving on the mound right now. We've got all those guys back. We have not pitched it to our potential right now. The potential's there. But I think we've underachieved a little bit on the mound. Command's not been very good the last couple of weeks. So we've got some things to iron out on the mound. If we can get those guys back to where they were from last year, then I think we've got a chance to make a run at it. But that's what's going to win it for you is those guys on the mound. So we've got to get a little bit better up on the mound right now.
Well, Coach, if you're 10-1 on the season and things aren't going really well right now, some things are going right, because that is definitely a great start to the season. I'm sure this won't be the first time we talk to you this year, so I thank you for coming on this morning to talk about your program and seeing where Verdigris is at this point of the season.
Right. Well, I appreciate you having me on.
That is Verdigris head coach Brian Keith joining us in this segment. Also, thanks to Broken Arrow head coach Shannon Dobson. When we come back, we're going to take a time out right now, but we're going to ask Coach Brent Marley the question, why? Why now? Why would the team that you have coming back, why decide to step down? He's going to join us next segment. We'll ask him that, as well as what he thinks about Keats Calhoun as far as going after the state's passing record, and what's next for Brent Marley. That's also a huge question. Where's he going to go? Is he going to go out of state? Is he going to try to stay in state? Is he going to take a year off from coaching? We'll ask him in our next segment. He's Ben Johnson. I'm Michael Knight. This is the OKPREPS Roundup, not only on your home for sports, the Sports Animal, but streaming all over the world on the OKPREPS Network.
The big leaguers are back. Opening day is coming, and the Rangers and Cardinals are back on the Sports Animal.
It's in the upper port. Prince Fielder breaks a 16-game home run drought.
Catch the Cardinals April 5th at 7.
Swing it a long one. Get up, baby. Get up. Get up. Good night.
And the Rangers April 6th at 9. Major League Baseball on the Sports Animal is brought to you by Roofscapes Exteriors, St. Louis Union Station Hotel, Wingate by Wyndham Hotel. We're your home for the big leagues, the Sports Animal.
This is Sean Garner, owner and head strength coach of Excel Performance Training. Being Oklahoma's only MBSC Thrive licensed facility, we're going to help athletes with injury reduction, avoid overuse injuries, and of course, get you bigger, faster, and stronger. We want you to be able to move properly in our controlled environment, so when you're playing on the field or court, it becomes second nature. All athletes will have a detailed workout plan and work in groups of less than 10 other athletes. So if you're ready to go all in and train with the pros, call us at 918-949-4223 or online at excelperformancetraining.com. Next season starts now with Excel Performance Training.
He hears Truck Month at Hodge Ford.
That F-150 is perfect for our fishing gear.
What she thinks.
That Ford Explorer is perfect to carry the stroller, the groceries, and all the car seats.
And what your friends are thinking.
Hey, Dale just got a slick new F-250 from Hodge Ford. I'm moving next month. My fridge will fit in that bed nicely.
Ford Truck Month at Hodge Ford, and the new 2015s are in stock. Plus, you can save big on these 2014 F-150 crew cabs. They're $12,000 off. F-150s are the future of tough, with better fuel efficiency by up to 20% over the previous year's F-150. You could go a bit bigger. 2014 F-250 Super Duty is only $44,981. That's $14,000 off. Experience the Hodge Ford difference with Truck Month. Shop online at HodgeFord.com or drop by in person and take a stroll around at your own pace. Hodge Ford, 1200 North Main in Muskogee.
This is Sean Garner, owner and head strength coach of Excel Performance Training. Being Oklahoma's only MBSC Thrive licensed facility, we're going to help athletes with injury reduction, avoid overuse injuries, and of course, get you bigger, faster, and stronger. We want you to be able to move properly in our controlled environment, so when you're playing on the field or court, it becomes second nature. All athletes will have a detailed workout plan and work in groups of less than 10 other athletes. So if you're ready to go all in and train with the pros, call us at 918-949-4223 or online at excelperformancetraining.com. Next season starts now with Excel Performance Training.
Hey Tulsa, baseball season is here. Your ORU Golden Eagles take on the Oklahoma State University Cowboys Tuesday, March 31st at J.L. Johnson Stadium at 6:30 p.m. Order your tickets now by logging on to maybecenter.com or by calling 495-6000. That's 495-6000 or log on to maybecenter.com. Tickets start at just $5 each. Don't miss this clash between two premier college baseball programs right here in Tulsa. The OSU Cowboys take on your ORU Golden Eagles Tuesday, March 31st.
Here's something worth shouting.
From the hilltops to the rooftops.
You're a member of an electric cooperative.
That means you have a say.
A voice in how your co-op is run.
In what's best for the community.
Power to the people.
For the people.
From the people.
Doesn't that sound good?
Learn more about the power of your co-op membership
at togetherwesave.com.
For more energy-saving ideas, visit takecontrolandsave.coop. This message from the Electric Cooperatives of Northeast Oklahoma.
Mid-South Tackle Hunting and Boat Show.
The
largest sportsman's expo in the state is on now at the Tulsa State Fairgrounds in the River Spirit Expo. The Mid-South Tackle Hunting and Boat Show is fun for the whole family. Take in the High-Flying Retrievers Dog Show or some expert seminars on dog training. There's the Major League Fishing Seminar stage and the Bluegrass Music stage. In fact, over 500,000 square feet of everything for the Oklahoma outdoorsman. You can meet and greet A&E's Duck Dynasty star Jeff Robertson or have your trophy buck scored by the experts. All the best boat, RV, and ATV dealers will be at the show, as well as the best fishing guides and hunting outfitters. Add in the major tackle and hunting dealers with the very latest in guns, knives, and tackle, and you have the perfect shop and compare sales event with some of the best prices all year. Presented by Gibson Bait and Tackle, Roberts Auto Group, and Cox Media Group. The Mid-South Tackle Hunting and Boat Show through this Sunday. Don't miss it.
Mid-South Tackle Hunting and Boat Show.
It's time to fall in love with your next vehicle with Don Carlton Honda's pre-owned sales event. Don Carlton Honda can find you your perfect match. They are overflowing with Honda certified pre-owned inventory. Every pre-owned Honda passes a 100-point inspection by Honda certified mechanics. Don Carlton Honda must sell over 150 vehicles, and this means major savings for you now. General Manager Sammy Kaloff will do whatever it takes for you to drive away in the pre-owned Honda you've always wanted. Don Carlton Honda is also overstocked with many other quality pre-owned cars and trucks. Brands in stock like Toyota, BMW, Nissan, Acura, Kia, Hyundai, Mercedes-Benz, Volkswagen, and many domestic vehicles. So come to Tulsa's only locally owned and operated Honda store today. The perfect time to fall in love with your next vehicle. And you'll find your perfect match Sammy style during the pre-owned sales event at Green Country's #1 Honda volume dealer for over 30 years. Don Carlton Honda, 4141 South Memorial.
The sports animal. The sports animal.
Welcome back, OKPREPS Roundup here on your home for sports, the sports animal, as well as online, okpreps.tv/roundup. Below the video player online, you can vote for our Your Take poll of the week. We want to know, where do you want the Class 6A and 5A basketball state tournament held? Do you want it at the ORU's Maybe Center and remain there? Do you want to see it move to the TU's Reynolds Center, the BOK Center? How about Oklahoma City with Chesapeake Arena, the Cox Business Center, or down in Norman at OU's Lloyd Noble Center? Ben Johnson and I will discuss this in our last segment, but we want to hear from you, so you can go to okpreps.tv/your take or okpreps.tv/roundup. It's right below the video player. Joining us now on the program, we appreciate him joining us this Saturday morning. Now we got to call him former Victory Christian head coach Brent Marley. News broke starting on Thursday, but really came to a head yesterday with Brent Marley resigning as head coach at Victory Christian. And Coach, first off, thank you for taking some time this morning to join us on the program. Always enjoy talking with you. And I'm going to start off with a simple question, but I'm sure it's not a simple answer. Why?
Well, yeah, Michael, we've, my wife and I are people of faith, and, these decisions are never easy. A turning point in your life, but we've prayed about it for a while since the end of the year, and just felt the peace and felt it was, sometimes you just kind of sense when you feel like that maybe the wells run dry or it's time to take a different direction. I've been so blessed, by my time there. 12 years is a long time for any coach to be at any program. So, not being anywhere else, not, kind of venturing out, I think that the things that I would like to do in my career down the road, it's just that time. It's that time to do that. And it wasn't easy, but we both have a great peace about it. And once the decision was made, we felt like there was just no questioning that it was the right thing. And some things have come up since then just to confirm, that we're moving in the right direction.
Well, you mentioned it, how it felt almost as if the well dried up. Maybe you weren't supposed to be there any longer. Let me ask you this, because you're definitely not leaving the cupboard bare at Victory Christian. There's a lot of talent still left on this team. And so from just a competitor standpoint, as far as winning a lot of football games with this group, of course, Keith Calhoun, John Michael Terry, Adesha Khan, just talent galore for this upcoming team. How difficult was it to leave this group from the competition standpoint, where you're going to be one of the top teams in Class 3A this year?
Well, that was tough, but even more so, those names you mentioned, behind that are relationships, and beyond the X's and O's and the stats and all those things, the wins and losses and stuff like that, the relationships, player to coach, coach to player, just that's the tough thing. I've always heard, it's better to leave a program better than you found it, and you're called to do something else when you can take something like it is right now, and it's in great shape. Facilities have been enhanced. Some great talent coming back. Like you said, those two guys you mentioned, the first 2016 in-state OU commit, and then, Keith's, all he's done. That's not easy. And that was, that weighed on my decision a little bit. Why now? But when you can push through that and you still know that it's time through that, you know that it's the right thing. But meeting with those guys and just some one-on-one meetings with those two in particular and several other kids, one-on-one, after I met with the team on Wednesday afternoon, that wasn't easy, and that was the really tough thing, and it'd be great to come back and see what they're going to do and be there, and have Keith hopefully break the record, John Michael Terry, go to OU or see what other interest he draws and what happens with him, and I would love to do that, but for my family and for myself and for what we felt called to do and the leading, I've got to put priorities where priorities are, and family comes in front of those things.
Hey, Brent, it's Ben Johnson. Thanks for joining us. I had a lot of fun talking to you at times throughout this year, and then being out there at that Rogers game, 69-38. I think by the time that I talked to you afterwards, I think you were worn out. I was worn out from keeping up with all the stats in that game. And then L'Aquarius Taft at Rogers just making some unbelievable plays, and you guys answering right back. That's a lot of fun. But that's neither here nor there. For you, I know you talked about the Sequoia game being one of your more memorable games. What's one of the games that you look back and wished you could do over again?
Boy, that's a tough question. I'll tell you what's a blessing is to build in the last 3 years. I can name off the top of my head the 5 that we've lost.
Right.
Because it hasn't been a whole lot. So that's a blessing in itself. But every one of those games that we lost is just probably I would say out of the 5, just maybe the Berry Hill game this last year in the playoffs.
Mm-hmm.
We played very well. I think Keith was like 24 of 32 for 415 yards and 5 touchdowns, and to come away with a loss with a performance like that. And we had a couple key turnovers, but that would have launched us into playing Locust Grove at Locust Grove, and Coach Hennessy and I are good friends, and it just would have been a neat matchup for Mason Fine and Keith to go in that duel and see what happened. But I think probably that one, but they all, the 4 losses, the other 4 are just important. But anyway, I think hopefully that answers that.
No, it definitely does, and it was the perfect segue, because the next thing I wanted to ask you was about Keith Calhoun and Mason Fine chasing the passing yards record. It almost feels like, and we're going to talk about it more as we get closer to the football season and as we're in the season, it'll probably kind of have a feeling of the 98 baseball year with McGuire and Sosa chasing after the single-season home run record. As both of these guys, first, Keith will probably end up breaking it, but Mason is going to be right behind him. You and I had a conversation in your office about last month about how you might see Keats break it, and then the next week or a couple weeks later, Mason will end up breaking Keats's record. watching these two go back and forth all year after that career record, obviously you want to focus on team first, but at the same time, for those who love stats and those who love records being broken, it's definitely going to be fun to watch with these two special quarterbacks.
Oh, it will be. I mean, it's like we discussed, and you said that, I'm going to be biased to my guy, although I've been around Mason Fine some at some different award banquets, and, I mean, you talk about top-notch.
Yeah.
First-class young man, and so I wish both of them the absolute best. But, Keats, the thing with him, we don't know, who takes over at Victory, what kind of offense. We've been, spread, no huddle, and he's had three starting receivers last year all graduated. So we've got one coming back, and that's John Michael Terry. The new coach may want to use him more at tight end or more on defense and not play as much offense, or you don't know. So I don't know if Keats will have the opportunity to run the same system. I think it's definitely not broke, so I hopefully they don't do a whole lot of fixing. But that's going to take time to see what happens with that. And then Mason Fine's got, I think, a plethora of his receivers coming back.
Yep.
And of course their coaches are all intact, same system. So I think Keats as well, sitting 500-600 yards ahead of him. It is going to be interesting. They might wind up both breaking about the same time.
Yeah.
I wouldn't be shocked if Mason doesn't pass him up. But taking nothing away from Keats if that happens.
It's going to be fun to watch, that's for sure. Well, finally, we'll get you out of here on this, Coach. What's next for Brent Marley? Have you thought about it, going out of state, staying in-state, inquiring about some job openings, or could you possibly end up taking the 2015 season off?
No, I'm definitely believing that I will be at a program working with young men. This is a calling to me, and molding young men is my calling. It's not a job. So I definitely believe God's going to open the right door. There's a few things kind of brewing, assistant opportunities and a couple head coaching things I'm looking at. Some are out of state. So it just really depends on the right fit, the right place, and I know that he will, he'll lead me and guide me to that place. So I'm looking forward to it, and it's one of those things. I'm just open to, I told somebody yesterday, if I'd been offered the head job, if anything big 6A school around here or even out of state was open, and all the stars aligned, so to speak, and it's more pay and all that, and I announced to the team and made this announcement and was going to that doesn't take any faith. I mean, that's just that's pretty simple sometimes with those decisions, but not exactly knowing, but knowing you're supposed to do this. It was a step of faith, and I just felt like I was supposed to do that. And I really believe that the right opportunity is going to open up because of that decision.
Well, Coach, as always, I love talking to you. I wish you the best of luck. If you decide to go that out-of-state path, please stay in touch, because we definitely will miss you. And if you do stay in state, we'll definitely catch up again here on this Saturday morning program. But I've always enjoyed talking to you. Congratulations on your decision, and good luck in your future endeavors.
Hey, Michael, thank you, and all the things that we've done and time we've had together. I appreciate that too, and I believe there'll be more ahead. So thank you.
Absolutely. That is former Victory Christian head coach Brent Marley joining the program. We definitely wish him the best of luck. And look, I've always been a guy, even with recruits, I love when the recruits stay in state, because I love Oklahoma kids staying in Oklahoma. I feel the exact same about our coaches, because I feel like we have some of the best coaches in this part of the country, and Brent Marley is one of them. And we definitely, from the selfish standpoint, want to see him stay within the borders of Oklahoma. But if he goes out of state, I know you feel the same way as me, Ben.
No doubt.
Wish him nothing but the best.
Yep. A lot of those coaches you love dealing with on a regular basis, and Brent is one of those.
Brent is absolutely. I knew he would want to come on, and he wouldn't have a problem with talking with us this morning, and we definitely do wish him nothing but the best. Hour number one is in the books. When we come back, we're going to talk about some of the 2016 prospects in football with a guy who knows a little bit about it, Josh McCuistion of the Rivals Network, as well as Soonerscoop.com. Does a lot of recruiting updates on our Oklahoma kids, has seen them in camps and things this offseason. We'll talk a lot about some of these recruits, as well as Mason Fine in Keats Calhoun. When we come back on the other side of this timeout, he's Ben Johnson. I'm Michael Knight. This is the OK Preps Roundup on your home for sports, the Sports Animal, and online on the OK Preps Network.
If you know your Philly trivia, the Sports Animal's gonna send you there. To Fat Phillies, that is.
I'm gonna get me some of that.
Every Friday, we'll play Fat Philly Trivia to send you and 3 of your friends to Fat Phillies at 1305 South Peoria. You can eat whatever you want. We'll play during the middle of the day show. Fat Phillies, rolling them fat since 2005.
Now that's fat.
This is Sean Garner, owner and head strength coach of Excel Performance Training. Being Oklahoma's only MBSC Thrive licensed facility, we're going to help athletes with injury reduction, avoid overuse injuries, and of course, get you bigger, faster, and stronger. We want you to be able to move properly in our controlled environment, so when you're playing on the field or court, it becomes second nature. All athletes will have a detailed workout plan and work in groups of less than 10 other athletes. So if you're ready to go all in and train with the pros, call us at 918-949-4223 or online at excelperformancetraining.com. Next season starts now with Excel Performance Training.
You can load everything the family needs into one of those. Plus, the Sport Tune suspension is engineered for tight handling and stability to keep everybody safe on those winter roads. Experience the Hodge Ford difference with Truck Month. Shop online at hodgeford.com or drop by in person and take a stroll around at your own pace. If you need some help, we're glad to answer your questions. Hodge Ford, 1200 North Main in Muskogee.
All right, everyone, gather up. This year is going to be different. This year we win. This is the year we finally get that lawn green and weed free. If we're going to win this summer, we've got to do it right now. It's pre-emergent season. It's a two-step process. First, get out your phones and Google Partners Lawn Care. See the phone icon? Push it. You'll then be connected to a real pro, a guy who knows that if you don't get your lawn treated properly now, you get ready for a summer full of weeds. Now, you can either make that treatment appointment with a voice command, or you can schedule it online at partnerslawncare.com. Besides, you don't really want to do it anyway, do you? I've seen you making all the excuses when your wife wants to know what went wrong and why you have native grass sections like the rough at a golf course. With Partners Lawn Care, you're not bound by contracts, and you can easily make appointments and pay online. Be the cock of the walk in your neighborhood this year with the greenest weed-free lawn in the entire subdivision. Partners Lawn Care, Weed Control, and Fertilization. Together, we'll get results.
Dishing the truth about sports.
You must not be watching this league over here.
I just don't know if I've heard anything more ludicrous. Attention span went elsewhere after that third quarter.
The fact of the matter is we've got to be more objective.
24/7, 365.
97.1 FM.
KYL Muskogee Tulsa.
96.1 FM.
KITO Veneta.
AM 1550.
KYL Sapulpa Tulsa.
AM 1490.
KBIX Muskogee.
AM 1470.
KGND Veneta. The Sports Animal.
You've got to head to the country for the real deals. Ron's Discount Lumber in Howell, Oklahoma. Put that green thumb to work. We have all your favorite herbs, vegetables, flowers, shrubs, and trees, plus everything you need to make it grow. Keep it growing and looking good. When it's time to relax and enjoy, we have what you need for that as well. Head to the country and save. Ron's Discount Lumber in Howell, Oklahoma. It's where the pros go.
At Classic Chevrolet, we are 27 years strong.
Why?
We take the hassle out of your car buying experience.
How?
We have the knowledge and the experience to help you find the right car.
We have over 1,000 reasons why we are 27 years strong. We believe in building your trust. We want to be your preferred Chevy store.
We don't want to just sell you a car. We want to help you buy a car.
27 years strong at Classic Chevrolet in Owasso, where a handshake matters. ClassicChevrolet.net.
The Sports Animal. The Sports Animal.
Welcome back. Hour number 2. The OK Preps Roundup here on your home for sports, the Sports Animal, as well as streaming all over the world on okpreps.tv/roundup. I am joined by Ben Johnson. I am your host, Michael Knight. Again, we want to ask to hear from you on the OK Preps Your Take poll of the week on okpreps.tv/your take. The OSSA announced this week that they would be reaching out to 6 venues around the state to open up bidding on the 6A and 5A state tournament. Ben Johnson and I will discuss this in our last segment. The options are ORU's Maybe Center, TU's Reynolds Center, BOK Center, Chesapeake Arena, the Cox Business Center, as well as OU's Lloyd Noble. Is it Lloyd Noble Center or Lloyd Noble Arena?
Center.
It's the center? That's what I thought. The LNC. That sounds right.
Yeah.
Just as I said it. Hey, got to ask the question. So we want to hear from you. If you're watching online, the poll is directly below the video player, so we made it a little bit easy for our viewers online. Joining us now to kick off hour number 2, he is a member of the Rivals Network, one of the lead writers on Soonerscoop.com, and a good colleague, and always enjoy talking recruiting. Josh McQueen. Now, look, man, I've talked to you several times, and I've never once had to say your last name. So, for the love of God, please tell me how to pronounce your last name.
Josh McQuistion would be the last name, and I realize that's probably the least likely way for that name to come out when you look at it on paper, but that is the way it goes.
I would have pronounced it exactly like that, so I shouldn't have even asked. I should have just rolled with it and acted like I knew what I was talking about.
Just so you know, Josh, he's been saying it wrong all morning, so we got to hold him accountable for that.
Maybe.
Yeah, like I said, I mean, I work with guys with the last name Radosevich, so in all honesty, I'm secondary as far as last names go.
Well, at least he can go by Rado.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I just call him Eddie. I just call him Eddie.
Yeah.
I just call you Josh. I stick on the first name basis. Hey, Josh, first off, thanks for joining us this morning. Love talking recruiting, especially about this 2016 class, because while it doesn't have the elite All-American type talent that some of the classes have been in the past, it's very deep, and we've already seen over 20 in-state kids collect Division I offers. And I'll start off the segment with this question. Who do you believe right now is the best prospect in Oklahoma in the 2016 class?
Wow, that's a great question. You know, it's such a tricky thing, and I know you guys both live it and talk about it too, because you always get into that player versus prospect. And for me, I think maybe the best prospect is Noah Jones. I know I'm kind of on an island with him, but I just love, for those that don't know, the tight end defensive end from Southmore, a guy with just a huge frame, great body, and really, and again, the things we have to say in recruiting that are just crazy. But, Noah Jones is a guy that, to me, honestly, everybody talks about him as a defensive end. I know he's talked about maybe moving into defensive tackle. But the people I've talked to and just watching with my own eyes, I think Noah Jones' best future maybe is a left tackle. And that's kind of where you get into that player prospect thing. He's never played left tackle in his life. His dad was a collegiate track sprinter. So you would think that wouldn't make any sense at all. But with a guy with his frame, his athletic ability, I think could just be an all-world left tackle. But he's going to need 2 or 3 years at least to become, to even start to scratch the surface of being that kind of guy.
Well, you talk about him, and earlier this week he did pick up an offer from Kansas State, adding to offers he currently holds from Navy and Toledo. So you're not crazy, and I ranked him in our top 5 as far as 2016 prospects. So you're definitely not out on an island as far as the best prospect. I still think there's a couple other guys that are definitely in the running. Let's switch gears a little bit and talk about position-specific prospects. Let's start at the quarterback position. Michael Wilson at Lincoln Christian is a guy who I really like. I think he's the most consistent of the quarterback prospects. Him and Terry Wilson battling as far as who's the best. You also throw in Chandler Garrett from Mustang. Let's talk about those 3 guys. Wilson, both Wilsons, as well as, of course, Chandler Garrett, who picked up his first Division I offer. Been a long time coming for the Mustang product. Those 3 guys, they bring different games onto the field, but they're all very impressive.
They are, and it comes into that question of what do you like? I mean, what are you looking for in a quarterback? To me, I think you're dead on. Michael Wilson is the safest bet of the 3. If I had to pick one of those 3 guys that's going to be at least a couple-year starter, going to play at a good high level, Michael Wilson would be my guy. I think there is very little doubt that he's going to be a good player. He comes from a good football family. He comes from a program that when I went out to watch Lincoln Christian last spring, it was really my first time to really watch them practice. And I couldn't have been more impressed with the way they ran things and the things he was processing, and the information they had him going through was really advanced for a guy his age. So, like I said, I like him a lot, and he's my number 1 quarterback in the state right now. Terry Wilson is boom or bust. Yeah. I've seen film of Terry Wilson that looks like a Rivals 100 guy, one of the top players in the country. And then I've seen him live, and you'll see a couple of those plays, and then you'll see some stuff, you wouldn't want your, middle school quarterback doing. And
right.
So it's just a little bit of that. And I think with Terry, it's just raw. He didn't play a lot as a sophomore, unlike Micah, so he didn't have some of that experience. It was all very fast for him. And you could see as the year went on, he and Del City got better and better and better. So I think they could be, kind of to look to the team stuff, I think they could be kind of a surprise team this year. But at the same time, he's just one of those guys that when you watch him, great frame, great release. I mean, he looks like a guy that's been working at it for a long time, and he really hasn't. So, again, I think he's one of those guys that if you take your time and you're willing to be patient with him, I think he could be a huge surprise down the road. And finally, with Chandler Garrett, he's a guy that coaches are going to go see, and it's why he has one offer. When coaches go see him at practices or camps or things like that, he doesn't shine. He just doesn't, and he knows it. It's something he and I have talked about before. But you put that kid on a Friday night field with the lights on, he is a totally different guy. His release gets better. He looks more confident. He just stops thinking, and he just plays football again. And if he could ever get to that when he goes to these team camps that he'll go to in the summer, he'll pick up offers. He's a big, strong-armed kid that is, one of those guys coaches are going to like. So to me, like I said, I think the two Wilsons are a little bit ahead of Garrett, but all three are clearly FBS players, and really, like I said, they're going to shine in different areas.
Josh, while we're talking about quarterbacks, when we talk about quarterbacks, Mason Fine is obviously going to be a big headliner this year, mainly because of the stats he puts up. Where do you project him going, knowing that, he's going to have great numbers, his accuracy is going to be really high, but, at the end of the day, his body frame is a little bit smaller than the rest of these guys. Is that going to matter to some of these D1 coaches? Ultimately, where do you see him, what kind of program do you see him landing at?
I don't think there's any doubt that it's going to matter to coaches. When you watch Mason Fine's film, and if you were, if you could make yourself think that he's 6'2", he'd have 30 offers.
Sure. Yeah.
There's just no way that it doesn't play a role. And I know that's not really what you were saying, but, it is. It's one of those things, and people that don't understand this say, his tape's great, his film's great. The problem is it's for a coach, because at the end of the day, if something goes wrong with the quarterback you offer, the premier position in the game, if you offer a guy and then he doesn't pan out, well, it's fine to say, okay, this kid was 6'3", had a great arm, his high school stats were good, it just didn't work out. He didn't buy it. When the kid's 5'10", you have to answer for that. Why did we go after this guy who clearly was shorter than the other guys we liked? All these sort of things. It's an obvious knock, and that's what hurts you. It's one of those things. It's just like the running back that runs 4.8. Sure, his film's great, all those things are great, but he can't run away from anybody. So people are going to knock him for it. And like I said, whether it's fair or not is irrelevant. But to get to the question of where he ends up, I think Mason Fine's either going to end up at a FCS school, Sam Houston State or something like that, which he would go to one of those places and just light it up. I mean, it would be fun to watch him do it. But at the same time, would it shock me if, come late next January, some school like an Arkansas State or somebody, kind of that recruits the area, knows it pretty well, and is going to have a long time to evaluate him, would offer him and take a shot late? No, it wouldn't. I mean, he's that good, he's that impressive. But the reality is, I mean, he's, 5'9.5", 5'10". I had a chance to see him at the Rivals quarterback challenge a couple weeks ago.
Yeah.
I loved him. I loved watching his feet. I loved everything about his game. Again, if he's 6'3", he's one of the best quarterbacks in the country. But it's just a reality that he's small, he's light. You kind of worry about not just the height, but he's going to be probably 175 pounds, 180 pounds max in college. That could get you killed playing against certain competitions. So, again, I think he'll end up at an FCS school, but it won't shock me if he ends up at a small FBS.
We're talking recruiting with Rivals. Josh McQuistion, also of Soonerscoop.com, does a great job covering Oklahoma recruiting here in the state. And we're talking the 2016 class. Let's switch gears and talk running backs, because also I think that group is deep. Justice Hill of Booker T. Washington has already committed to Oklahoma State, also holds an offer from Louisville. You talk about running backs. You also have to mention Quan Hogan of Norman North, as well as Jeremy Lewis of Lone Grove, a small school kid, but a kid who has really built himself up. He's already grabbed a couple offers from Arkansas State and Tulsa. Then you have a couple guys who don't have offers yet, like Darren Williams of Edmond Santa Fe. I know Jamal Shaw picked up a small school offer at Broken Arrow, but there's a really good running back group in this state, and it's headlined by some of those guys who already have offers, but some of the ones who don't, they will soon enough.
It tells you how much football has changed when you go over that list of running backs and think of how few offers are amongst those guys. Quan Hogan is 6 foot, 200 pounds, looks exactly like what you would want a running back to look like. Now, I'm not saying he's perfect. I'm not saying his game is, he's one of the top 10 running backs in the country or anything like that. But for him to only have a couple of offers, it tells you how much the running back has become devalued in college and the NFL. I mean, it's just a different position than it used to be. You guys can remember it just like I did, back in the days of James Allen and those kind of guys, when the running back was really the first position you went and tracked down. You had to have a good running back if you were going to compete, and it's just not that way right now. So it's changed the whole game and the way everybody looks at this stuff. Jeremy Lewis, I mean, you talk about a big, long. When I watch him, he reminds me of Damon Parker. That's exactly who I see when I watch him with his long strides and that long speed he has. I mean, now, is he that good? I don't know, but that's who he reminds me of. And if you think about it, if this is 15 years ago, he's got a dozen offers by now. Yep. I mean, it's just that way. So, like I said, I like all those guys. And the guy that I really like, and I'm shocked hasn't picked up more attention, is Darren Williams from Edmond Santa Fe. You talk about a guy that will go from, to steal the quotes from the kids, from 0 to 100, man. That's Williams. I mean, he is explosive in those first 3 or 4 steps. And, people love to talk about, well, does he run 4.4, run 4.5? You know what? Can you give me 5 yards when I need it? And I feel like Darren Williams is that kind of guy. He's a little smaller, but he's a tough runner. And, again, he's explosive in short space. And I think that's one of those things that people tend to overlook with running backs. Emmitt Smith was not a 4.4 guy. But you know what? In a tight, quick space, he could make plays. Now, that doesn't mean everybody's Emmitt Smith. It's not, a 4.4. But that kind of is an example. I think people get so caught up in 40 times, they sometimes forget there's a lot of other little things that could amount to a really good running back.
So he's saying that Darren Williams is the next Emmitt Smith. Okay, we got
all right, no pressure there.
Somebody out there take that note.
Yeah, I'm right there with you on him, and I know that you and I both saw him at the Mustang team camp, and from that point forward, we thought, okay, this guy has a chance to be special. One more question on the offensive side. Jordan Brown, a receiver out of Stillwater. I saw him at the Jinx team camp last May and thought, I was there to look at Brandon Prather. I see Jordan Brown just absolutely shine. I thought he was primed for a breakout year. He had some issues with the quarterback going down with an injury, so didn't get to really shine the way he possibly could have. Already picked up an offer from Navy, already picked an offer from Texas Tech. He's been to LSU's junior day. How good could Jordan Brown be compared to some of the receivers that we've seen in the past, like Dahu Green in this last class, Jeffrey Mead in the class before?
Well, first, I want to give you credit, Michael. You're the guy that actually turned me on to Jordan Brown. I didn't know. I didn't know anything about him. I'm with you. I was thinking about Brandon Prather, and you said, "Hey, I just saw this kid. Maybe give him some look." And you saw him, and you were like, "Wow!" Because he is big body, bigger frame than Prather ever was. Probably not as explosive as Brandon was at his best, but still, a guy that clearly had all the tools to be a really good player, and it has the bloodline, obviously going back to his father at Oklahoma State. So, he's, I don't know that I have him quite on that level with Dahu Green or Jeffrey Mead. I don't think there's anybody that, was any bigger a fan. There may have been some that were as much, but Jeffrey Mead's a guy that I screamed potential to me. I just thought he was potentially just a huge, huge difference maker. Now, we'll see how that goes. But, I wouldn't have him on that level, but to me, you look at Texas Tech, he's completely capable of playing at a place like that.
Oh, yeah.
It kind of surprises me that neither of the in-state schools have really given him even a token amount of attention so far. So, we'll see how that goes going forward. I kind of expect that to change because, obviously, both schools are so receiver-heavy. But, no, Jordan Brown is You know, you talk about a guy, you mentioned the LSU. I know he was invited to Georgia's junior day.
Yep.
When you're talking about schools from those states that have so much talent inside, still trying to bring you over to their campus, that's no small thing. It doesn't mean an offer's coming, but it's not to be ignored either.
Flipping to defense, a guy who I really like and who's really blown up over the last several months, a guy who you saw and really in your last rankings put him up high after watching some film on him. Jimmy McKinney, a linebacker out of Oologah, also doubles as a running back for the Mustangs, helped lead Oologah to a state championship game appearance. McKinney's a guy who's really started to pick up steam. Air Force, Arkansas State, Missouri State, Stephen F. Austin, and Wyoming. Do you see him as a linebacker at the next level? And is that Arkansas State, Tulsa, Wyoming type program the limit for him, or could he jump into a Big 12 school?
I really like Jimmy McKinney. He was a guy that I completely admit that I didn't know about. Oologah is obvious. I mean, you guys know as well as I do, when it comes to recruiting, they're not a place you usually have to stop. They've been a good program, but usually not those caliber of guys. But with him and Brock Martin, it sounds like that's about to change for me. So, you know, with McKinney, I think he has the potential to be a Texas Tech guy, maybe even backdoor into, an Oklahoma State, kind of that next step up even beyond those guys. He's so instinctive. I mean, when you watch him on tape, that guy is never out of position. He is right where he wants to be, and you'll have to forgive me. I'm out at the Under Armour camp in Houston, so you hear some foghorns going off in the background. But, I love him on tape. Now, to me, it's a matter of I haven't seen him in person. I actually get to tomorrow. He'll be at the Under Armour camp in Dallas, and I kind of get a chance to size him up. If he is as big as he's listed, somewhere around 6 foot, 6'1", 220, there's no reason he can't be a Big 12 linebacker. He moves well. He's maybe not elite athletically, but he's certainly not a guy that you think of as a negative with his ability to move in space. So I like McKinney a lot, and I love him as an inside guy. You just can't, people love to, again, we talked about 40 times. People will look at times and speed stuff, and then they'll forget, on film, if you have that split second, that instinct, that feeling of what's about to happen, it can make up for a lot of shortcomings physically. So that's one of those positions where, to me, you can sometimes kind of skirt, he's got to be this tall or he's got to be this fast, and just focus on how talented the guy is. And I think McKinney's got some stuff.
I'll tell you what, and look, I know we could end up talking to you for the rest of the hour. We're kind of up against it. I do want to get two guys out before we let you go, and I want you to talk a little bit about them. The Jinx duo. A couple years ago, we saw Stephen Parker and Dylan Harding be that 1-2 punch for the Jinx defense. This year, it's Austin Quillen and Dylan Stoner. Stoner recently picking up an offer from Arkansas. Stoner's a guy who I actually liked a little bit more than Quillen, just because he has that it factor. You talk about instincts, and this guy has it. He's just a playmaker. He reminds me of Dylan Harding from a couple years ago. Not as tall, but still that type of player. And then, of course, Austin Quillen moving from the safety spot to linebacker part of last year has really helped his game, and he's picked up offers from all over the country as well. Those two, it seems like it was only yesterday we were talking about Stephen Parker and Dylan Harding as the 1-2 punch for the Trojans, but now they have it again with Austin Quillen and Dylan Stoner.
Yeah, how shocked we all are that Jinx just reloads. Who knew?
No.
So, and I have to, and everybody's going to turn off the radio in Tulsa. So, guys, I'm going to go ahead and, you have to forgive me for this. The first year I can ever remember that I saw neither Jinx nor Union during the season, and I have to own that because Dylan Stoner is a guy that I did not know about until way too late, way later than I probably ever known about a good Jinx player. But, the coaches had told me about him, and I saw him, and I kind of liked him, but you didn't know. I mean, it was just a spring practice. You didn't want to get too excited. But then when I had a chance to see his tape, you were like, wow, this guy is really, really good, and I couldn't figure out at a place like Jinx how he didn't already have 5 or 6, 7 offers. I'm kind of with you, and I'm always scared of it. The first time I watch a tape, I tend to kind of love her guy, I like her guy. And then the second time, I kind of go back and really have my real opinion. So with Stoner, with my first ranking, when he got in the second update, I kind of felt like I was overcorrecting too much. But as I go back and watch more, I think I might be with you. I think I might need to move him ahead of Quillen just because he's got a little bit more size. He fits more naturally at a position, even though he's kind of an athlete. with Quillen, that's my only question. Where do you put him? Like you said, he got better once he got closer to the line of scrimmage. Well, does that work in college? Is he big enough to handle that in the college game? So it's one of those questions with both those guys, but you're right. At the high school level, it's almost unfair that Jinx has two guys like that running around the secondary.
I'll tell you what, man. I mentioned it earlier. We could talk the rest of the hour. So this only means that we need to have you on more often because there's definitely a lot of guys who we did not mention here today that are extremely talented. Calvin Bundage at Edmond Santa Fe, Max Waraboko at Cassidy, some guys who already have multiple offers, and we don't even mention them. So that just means we have to talk again, right?
You should probably just get used to that 10 o'clock time spot because we'll just probably keep bringing them on.
Yeah.
You guys know me. This is all I do all day, every day. I live a sad, sad existence. I talk to my wife and watch recruiting stuff. That's really all I do, so I'm always game to talk.
Hey, Josh, appreciate your time this morning. We'll definitely catch up again once we get closer to spring football.
Great, guys. I look forward to it.
He's Josh of the Rivals Network. Sooner Scoop does a great job. And, look, this 2016 class is something special. It's very deep. Maybe doesn't have the All-Americans like Josh Waraboko or Jalen Barnett, but there's some players in this class that are going to be playing at the Division I level. We could end up seeing, close to the 2008 class or 2009 class, which had close to 50 guys signing with Division I programs. We're already halfway there as far as offers, with 25 guys or so holding Division I offers. So it's definitely going to be fun to check throughout spring as well as the summer. All right, we're way past due to take a break. We got to step aside. When we come back, we're actually going to be live on remote in the gym. I'm going to be catching up with Sean Garner of Excel Performance Training, and we'll be talking about foam rolling, a little substitute for stretching to get you ready for your athletic event, whether it be just an evening jog or if you're one of the athletes who are about to participate in your sport. He's been Johnson. I'm Michael Knight. We'll be back with Sean Garner. On the other side of this time out, it's the OKPREPS Roundup on your home for sports, the Sports Animal, and the OKPREPS Network.
All right, listen up. Good Sense Deli and Subs on South Memorial wants to reward you with a free lunch between 9 and 2 each weekday. If the show host decides your call makes good sense, you'll get a free lunch.
You always dreamed as a kid that you want to be here.
So put on your thinking cap and give us a call, 918-460-5925, and try to get a free lunch from Good Sense Deli and Subs.
This is Sean Garner, owner and head strength coach of Excel Performance Training. Being Oklahoma's only MBSC Thrive licensed facility, we're going to help athletes with injury reduction, avoid overuse injuries, and of course, get you bigger, faster, and stronger. We want you to be able to move properly in our controlled environment, so when you're playing on the field or court, it becomes second nature. All athletes will have a detailed workout plan and work in groups of less than 10 other athletes. So if you're ready to go all in and train with the pros, call us at 918-949-4223 or online at excelperformancetraining.com. Next season starts now with Excel Performance Training. Or online at excelperformancetraining.com. Next season starts now with Excel Performance Training.
At Roberts Auto Group, when we say we want to be your dealer for life, we mean it. It's not a gimmick or a slogan. It's our pledge to you. With every new or used vehicle you buy at Roberts with less than 100,000 miles, you get our lifetime engine guarantee. That means your engine is protected for as long as you own your vehicle. We also offer oil changes, tire rotations, and loaner vehicles for life, even loaner feed trucks. With an inventory of over 1,000 vehicles, you won't find all that anywhere else around here. So why do we do it? Simple. Because you have a choice. At Roberts, we want your experience to be so impressive and so satisfying, you won't want to go anywhere else. That's our pledge, the Roberts Pledge. From Roberts Auto Group, visit the Mile of Autos on Highway 69 or online at robertsautocenter.com. Your dealer for life. All regular maintenance must be done at Roberts Service Center.
You've got to head to the country for the real deals. Ron's Discount Lumber in Howell, Oklahoma. Put that green thumb to work. We have all your favorite herbs, vegetables, flowers, shrubs, and trees, plus everything you need to make it grow. Keep it growing and looking good. When it's time to relax and enjoy, we have what you need for that as well. Head to the country and save. Ron's Discount Lumber in Howell, Oklahoma. It's where the pros go.
All right, everyone, gather up. This year is going to be different. This year we win. This is the year we finally get that lawn green and weed free. If we're going to win this summer, we've got to do it right now. It's pre-emergent season. It's a two-step process. First, get out your phones and Google Partners Lawn Care. See the phone icon? Push it. You'll then be connected to a real pro, a guy who knows that if you don't get your lawn treated properly now, you get ready for a summer full of weeds. Now, you can either make that treatment appointment with a voice command, or you can schedule it online at partnerslawncare.com. Besides, you don't really want to do it anyway, do you? I've seen you making all the excuses when your wife wants to know what went wrong and why you have native grass sections like the rough at a golf course. With Partners Lawn Care, you're not bound by contracts, and you can easily make appointments and pay online. Be the cock of the walk in your neighborhood this year with the greenest weed-free lawn in the entire subdivision. Partners Lawn Care, Weed Control, and Fertilization. Together, we'll get results.
Mid-South Tackle Hunting and Boat Show.
The Mid-South Tackle Hunting and Boat Show is on now at the Tulsa State Fairgrounds in the River Spirit Expo. Through this Sunday, you'll find fun for the whole family. This year's show is the biggest in the state, with the whole upper level of the IPE chock full of fun, with everything for the great outdoors, from the best boats and travel trailers to the latest in hunting and fishing gear, plus guns and knives. You'll get a chance to meet and greet A&E's Duck Dynasty star Jeff Robertson, and see the high-flying retrievers dog shows and a kids fishing pond. You'll find fun for the whole family. Don't miss the deals, fun, and giveaways. This show runs Friday 10 a.m. to 9 p.m., Saturday 9 a.m. to 7 p.m., and Sunday 10 a.m. to 5 p.m. Presented by Gibson Bait and Tackle, Roberts Auto Group, and Cox Media Group. Don't miss all the fun.
Mid-South Tackle Hunting and Boat Show.
You've heard other dealers offering free oil changes for life, and you thought to yourself, there has to be a catch. Well, usually there is, except at Hodge Ford. Hey, this is Jack Hodge, and we're now offering free oil changes for life for anyone who buys a new or used vehicle. And that's not all. If you ever bought from Hodge, you get free oil changes for life. You heard right.
Jack, so you're saying if you buy any car or own any car from Hodge, you can get your oil change for free as long as you own your car? Are you a little crazy?
Maybe just a little. And hey, it doesn't matter if you bought a diesel or your car takes synthetic oil. We'll honor free oil changes for life up to 4 times a year or every 5,000 miles. Get a free oil change as long as you own your Hodge Ford. That's the Hodge promise.
You heard it from the owner himself. Free oil changes for life at Hodge Ford. Experience the Hodge Ford difference. Come by or call today or go to HodgeFord.com. Hodge Ford, 1200 North Main in Muskogee.
The sports animal. The sports animal.
Welcome back to the OKPREPS Roundup. I'm your host, Michael Knight, joined now at Excel Performance Training by Sean Garner. Sean, again, loved having you on the show last week. Excited to be back in the gym this week. We got foam rolls this week.
Absolutely. So we're very excited to be back here on the show again, and we're going to talk about foam rolling. So foam rolling is going to be incorporated to what we call as our prime part of the workout. That's where we're going to start every workout. So it's going to be our foam rolling, stretching, activation, just really trying to get the body primed, if you will, ready for movement.
And we have a guest this week.
That's right. We are joined by the lovely Miss Lacey Clevenger from Excel Therapy, and so really excited about that partnership. And so, yeah. Let's talk about foam rolling.
That's right, because I know nothing about foam rolling. I know stretching. I know that's how I get ready for any physical activity, but foam rolling is almost an extension of that.
Yeah, that's right. So foam rolling, what that is going to be is pretty much just a poor man's massage therapist. So you know, it'd be great if we could all go get a massage before every time we were going to go train or practice, but it's just really impractical. So thus enters the foam roller. So the foam roller comes in a bunch of different sizes and densities, all the way up to a PVC pipe, to a bunch of different brands with a bunch of different textures on it, just to kind of get a different response. So in essence, what a foam roller is going to do is just kind of break up tissue adhesions, or just trigger points, if you will, of muscle fibers. And so what we're going to do is get those sliding surfaces of the muscles to slide a little bit better, so that way we can get into better positions that stretch more efficiently.
Well, let's go ahead and demonstrate some of these.
Yeah, absolutely. So what we're going to do is show you kind of our top 5 favorite foam rolling exercises and areas that we use with our athletes. So the first Miss Lacey's going to do right here is the hamstring. We see a lot of athletes just really tighten the back of the legs. So what she's going to do is have her hands behind her, just roll the foam roller from the back of the knee all the way up to the butt, and just kind of get those areas loosened up. So whenever we are exercising and training and movement, we always say it shouldn't cause pain. Foam rolling's kind of the exception to the rule. It's not necessarily going to be the most comfortable thing. We want to find those tight areas and really start breaking them and loosening them up. Then from this position here, she's going to roll on her side and get her IET band. So all the way from the outside of the knee up into the hip, just keeping the leg straight. Again, just nice, slow rolls. Whenever we find tight areas, that's really where we want to spend some time and hang out there. So what we tell athletes is just breathe through the nose and out through the mouth. Just getting everything to loosen up so those tissues will start sliding a little bit better. Then from right here, she's going to cross her right foot over her left and then roll over onto her right butt cheek. And we're just going to get those glutes and hips starting to loosen up a little bit. You know, we spend a lot of time sitting, especially athletes that are at school all day. So we've got to get those glutes loosened up and moving a little bit better. So whenever we're squatting, sprinting, things like that, we're not going to avoid those injuries. And then so then from right here, we're going to go down to the upper back. So we're going to interlace our fingers, hands behind the head, keep your elbows together. We're going to get our T-spine or our thoracic spine. So unfortunately, due to our world, we spend all day hunched over a desk or a cell phone. So this is going to help to create that extension through the upper back to kind of combat that hunched over world that we lived in. So next after this, the last one that we do is we're going to roll over to our side. You're going to put your hand behind your head, rock back and forth into the shoulder. So this, I know right now in baseball season, baseball players in the shoulders, that's the bread and butter right there. So we got to make sure that we're taking good care of them. So this is a great one right here, especially before we got any throwing or hitting practice. Really get those shoulders loosened up and moving better, so that way we're going to be in better positions.
Absolutely, I'm right there with you. All right, so this was part of the 5-step program here at Excel. Talk about it and as well as the other 4 steps.
Yeah, so this is part of our prime. So like I said, this is what we're going to start out with every workout, getting those tissues moving good, getting them activated, and just those sliding surfaces increase, like I said. Then after that, we go to our prep. That's our dynamic warm-up, speed development, ladder agility work. Then we go over to our power. Power is where we're going to get those muscles to fire quick, learn how to absorb energy. Then we go to our strength, where we're going to do a full body workout. We're going to push things, pull things, knee dominant, hip dominant, and then work out our core. Then we finish out with burn. That's going to be our conditioning for sled sprints, shuttle runs, and just get that heart thumping good.
Well, I know that's what we're going to be diving into over the next couple weeks. Looking forward to it. Learned a lot about foam rolls today. Learned a lot about being able to, not, pull a hamstring when you're running, whether it be baseball, track. I know is in session right now with track meets going on all across the state. So, Sean, good talking to you again. Looking forward to next week for another training tip from Sean Garner here at Excel Performance Training. We'll be right back here on your home for sports, the Sports Animal, and the OKPREPS Network.
Of golf.
It looks like I'm a wreck. It's in the hole! It's in the hole!
Every Saturday with the Swing Fit Golf Oklahoma Hour. Tracy Phillips, Director of Instruction at Cedar Ridge Country Club. Dave Sidler, Oklahoma Journalism Hall of Fame member. And Ken McLeod, publisher Golf Oklahoma magazine, will help navigate the local, state, and national golf scene every Saturday morning at 8. Brought to you by Swing Fit Golf. Get fit to play.
The crowd is just on its feet here.
The Sports Animal.
This is Sean Garner, owner and head strength coach of Excel Performance Training. Being Oklahoma's only MBSC Thrive licensed facility, we're going to help athletes with injury reduction, avoid overuse injuries, and of course, get you bigger, faster, and stronger. We want you to be able to move properly in our controlled environment, so when you're playing on the field or court, it becomes second nature. All athletes will have a detailed workout plan and work in groups of less than 10 other athletes. So if you're ready to go all in and train with the pros, call us at 918-949-4223 or online at excelperformancetraining.com. Next season starts now with Excel Performance Training.
At Classic Chevrolet, we are 27 years strong.
Why?
We take the hassle out of your car buying experience.
How?
We have the knowledge and the experience to help you find the right car.
We have over 1,000 reasons why we are 27 years strong. We believe in building your trust. We want to be your preferred Chevy store.
We don't want to just sell you a car. We want to help you buy a car.
27 years strong at Classic Chevrolet in Owasso, where a handshake matters. ClassicChevrolet.net.
Starship, featuring Mickey Thomas. Friday, April 17th, the event center at River Spirit. Starship. Reserve seats at the casino box office or online at riverspirittulsa.com. The journey continues. Starship, featuring Mickey Thomas.
Hey, Tulsa, baseball season is here. Your ORU Golden Eagles take on the Oklahoma State University Cowboys Tuesday, March 31st at J.L. Johnson Stadium at 6:30 p.m. Order your tickets now by logging on to maybecenter.com or by calling 495-6000. That's 495-6000 or log on to maybecenter.com. Tickets start at just $5 each. Don't miss this clash between two premier college baseball programs right here in Tulsa. The OSU Cowboys take on your ORU Golden Eagles Tuesday, March 31st.
It's time to fall in love with your next vehicle with Don Carlton Honda's pre-owned sales event. Don Carlton Honda can find you your perfect match. They are overflowing with Honda certified pre-owned inventory. Every pre-owned Honda passes a 100-point inspection by Honda certified mechanics. Don Carlton Honda must sell over 150 vehicles, and this means major savings for you now. General Manager Sammy Kaloff will do whatever it takes for you to drive away in the pre-owned Honda you've always wanted. Don Carlton Honda is also overstocked with many other quality pre-owned cars and trucks. Brands in stock like Toyota, BMW, Nissan, Acura, Kia, Hyundai, Mercedes-Benz, Volkswagen, and many domestic vehicles. So come to Tulsa's only locally owned and operated Honda store today. The perfect time to fall in love with your next vehicle. And you'll find your perfect match Sammy style during the pre-owned sales event at Green Country's #1 Honda volume dealer for over 30 years. Don Carlton Honda, 4141 South Memorial.
The sports animal. The sports animal.
Welcome back. OKPREPS Roundup here on your home for sports, the sports animal. You can download the OKPREPS app today for free. Free 99, that's what that is. You can go inside your favorite team with up-to-date stats, articles, pictures, and of course, videos. You can't make it to the game? You can get live notifications on your smartphone from your favorite team. It's available for download today in the Google Play Store as well as the App Store. Download the OKPREPS app because that's what we do, man. It's all free. It's all free, including this OKPREPS Roundup live on the Sports Animal as well as okpreps.tv/roundup. And joining us on the phone, Jacob Unruh of the Oklahoman, a good friend of the program. Talked a lot here on this show. Brand new branding to the show, but same old host. So I apologize, Jacob. You still got to talk to me. But we're adding Ben Johnson, so there's a little bit of a difference.
Hey, what's going on, fellas? How things going?
It's going great. It's going great on our end. Talking a lot of baseball, talking a lot of recruiting as well. Let's dive into a little bit of baseball before we get to the OSSA meetings from earlier this week, because we definitely want to get your take on some of the bigger items that happened from those meetings. Class 6A baseball, Westmore has been a bit of a surprise here in the early going. They have really played well. They beat Stillwater last night. Good start to their season. Could they be a strong state championship contender this year?
Yeah, I think surprises. I don't know if that's the proper way to classify them. They've got 4 kids that have committed or signed with OU. They got Kyle Tyler back on the mound who just dazzled in the quarterfinals of the state tournament last year against Broken Arrow, I believe. He was unhittable. They put him on the All-State team. He had a sub-1 ERA and was just dominant. And OU's getting a kid that could throw in the mid-90s out of him and can just deal it. And they've got some guys that can hit. Their concern is their bullpen. Earlier this week against Edmond North, another state tournament team last year, he pitched 5 or 6 shutout innings against them on Monday, and then the bullpen came in and just tanked it. And they had to go win in 11 innings. And so I think that's their concern is what they got behind him pitching-wise. But I think they're a serious contender, especially over here. Stillwater is going to be pretty good, too, so I think that's a big win.
And let's drop down to Class 5A. Carl Albert, 3-time champs in 5A. Are the Titans, do you have to consider them the favorite as of right now, or could it be an East Side team from up where we are, Collinsville, Claremore, one of those teams that could possibly make a run, or somebody who we haven't even mentioned yet?
I think, don't think you can discount Carl Albert, but this, I'll put it out there. This is not the same team that we've seen win the last 3 titles.
Right.
Gavin LaValle's gone. Cameron Warren's gone. The other guy, Justin McGregor, guys like that are all gone. Basically, you got one star player left in Corey Zingari, who's hands down a top prospect in the state this year. He's a catcher. He's signed with OSU, but the likelihood that he ends up there is slim. He has told me that if he's picked 4th rounder or lower, then he's going to the draft, and so he's likely going to be a pitcher too. He hits 97 on the gun. Can just flat out bring it. And so I think that, if he gets fire for him and kind of the young guys come along, they're going to be okay. But, Deer Creek over here is going to be another team to watch. They lost a lot, but they still just return a lot of talent, just not necessarily names you would know. And then, like I said, Claremore's another one I'm never going to discount. They're always here, and they're another team to watch in 5A.
Talking with Jake.
And Shawnee.
Yeah, they've had a strong start to the season as well. Can't forget to mention them. Talking with Jacob Unruh of the Oklahoman here on the OKPREPS Roundup. Jacob, you were at the OSSA meetings earlier this week. You saw and found out a huge ruling with the OSSA passing the ruling that states that teams are now limited, football teams are limited to a total of 90 minutes a week of full contact that they can use in practice. We put up a poll on okpreps.tv/OKG polls whether or not our fans agree with the new rules. 76% of the people who voted said no, they do not agree with the new rule. But you got to think that where we're going in this sport, you definitely err on the side of safety first, but at the same time, limiting to 90 minutes a week, going from unlimited to only 90, that's a huge deal.
I think it's the right move.
Right.
I think 90 is even pushing it to a point. I think there's coaches that are going less than 90 already, and there are some coaches that go more. And I think with the emphasis on head injuries and just injuries in general, but mainly the head, I think this is the right move. And I know people in that poll disagreed with it, but I had to disagree with them. I think this is something the OSSA had to agree to. And this was the coaches being proactive. That's what people need to realize, is this was the coaches that came to the OSSA and said, let's do this. And the OSSA said, okay. And, this is a way to avoid, legislation coming later saying they've got to do it this way. Because legislation could be way harsher than anything that the coaches just came up with. And I think this is the best thing possible. I wrote last year about the hawk tackling the Heritage Hall does to prevent injuries, and it works. Things like that. This day and age, you have to take precautions, and this is the best way to do it. And I will disagree wholeheartedly with anyone who argues against it. So.
Right. Hey, Jacob, it's Ben.
Hey, what's up, Ben?
Hey, how are you? This agenda this past week, it was pretty loaded. I mean, some minor stuff here and there, and after some state tournament basketball, that the school problems list kind of gets a little bit deeper because of some things. But another thing that maybe, I know you wrote about it, but maybe got lost in the shuffle was Gary Savely trying to cap schools moving up past 5A. How do you think is that? How do you see that panning out? Do you think he's on the right track? Do you think that doesn't going to pass, or how do you see that playing out?
I don't know that it's going to pass. He was concerned, and I see his concerns that if you wanted to keep the survey being sent out to 5A, 6A schools only, but since they added 4A, he's worried it's going to fail. And there's a good chance it will, I think, if you start adding other classes involved, because the lower classes below that aren't necessarily as effective as much.
Right.
And there's one private school in 4A, ADM wise, and that's Mount Airy. And everything else is below that or above. And so I don't know. I see what the OSA is doing because it can be effective, because if say Mount St. Mary has to move up, a 5A school has to go down to 4A and play those schools. But so I don't know. I think eventually some changes are going to be happening. They uncoupled it. So now the rules are that if McGinnis's boys basketball team has to play in 6A, the girls team does not, based on their merit. They uncoupled that. That's a good change.
Yeah, I agree.
think this is a way that both sides are trying to avoid more court battle. They're in the discovery period right now, and they're both they're both looking for answers to try to settle this and to settle it in a timely manner because McGinnis wants to change for next year.
Right.
And that's the goal here.
Well, Jacob, we'll let you get out of here on this because we're about to talk about it in our next segment. The 6A and 5A state tournament for basketball could be on the move. The last several years it's been at ORU's Mabee Center, but the OSSAA announced on Wednesday that they're going to send out letters to 6 different venues here in Oklahoma, the Tulsa Metro and Oklahoma City Metro area, about hosting the 6A and 5A state tournament. Where do you see it landing? I know we put up a vote on our page as well. A lot of people would love it to be in Chesapeake Arena. Is that realistic? Do you get the feeling that 6A, 5A state might be headed back to Oklahoma City, or do you think it'll remain in Tulsa?
You know, right now my gut says it remains in Tulsa, and Chesapeake's a great goal. But and talking with the OSSAA and people over there, I don't know that one's feasible. I think they're doing their due diligence with it in case Chesapeake comes with something just to blow them away to get in there. But when they had it in the Ford Center, I think back in 2002 is what they told me, the mayor had to underwrite it. You know, they had to get money from the mayor, things like that, to be able to afford it. Like, they just can't. It's not feasible.
Right.
So I would put that at 6 on the list. I mean, that's pretty unrealistic. I'd put OU right around 5 too. And so I think your best option is the Cox Center. The Barons are gone. There's no longer hockey, so I think the Cox Center could come make a big push for it. But I think it's going to be ORU or the Cox Center, to be honest.
Yeah, I'd be interested to see what the BOK Center does after the last couple years of hosting the high school showcase, which has been a pretty big event. It's a one-day event, but at the same time, it's brought in a good number of fans. I'd be interested to see what they do, but they might run into the same problems that Oklahoma City has with Chesapeake, so it might be the same scenario, but I would throw the BOK Center in there. But Jacob, man, it's always fun talking to you. Big items on the docket this week from the OSSAA, big changes coming in football. Never a dull moment when the OSSAA meets.
No, not at all. I go fully expecting that I'm going to have a busy day out there and everything. But no, I appreciate you guys having me on.
Looking forward to talking again.
Thanks, Jacob.
All right, thanks.
Jacob Unruh of the Oklahoman. We're going to talk more baseball with him in the future, but we definitely needed to talk mainly about what happened earlier this week with football being limited to 90 minutes of contact. We didn't even really get to discuss that a whole lot. We will over the next couple of weeks, but we've had a jam-packed show, and we'll end it in our next segment. It's time to discuss where we think the 6A and 5A state tournament poll, or where the state tournament should be. We've had that poll up on the website for a little over 24 hours now. We'll see what you think. We'll see what Ben thinks, and we'll finally see what I think. I'm leaning towards Tulsa, although Oklahoma City, and I know most of the people on the site love Chesapeake Arena. I think they might be left out in the cold. We'll be back with our last segments, the OK Preps Roundup, on your home for sports and sports animal, as well as online on the OK Preps Network.
Golf.
It looks like I'm a wreck. It's in the hole! It's in the hole!
Every Saturday with the Swing Fit Golf Oklahoma Hour. Tracy Phillips, Director of Instruction at Cedar Ridge Country Club. Dave Sidler, Oklahoma Journalism Hall of Fame member. And Ken McLeod, publisher Golf Oklahoma magazine, will help navigate the local, state, and national golf scene every Saturday morning at 8. Brought to you by Swing Fit Golf. Get fit to play.
The crowd is just...
This is Sean Garner, owner and head strength coach of Excel Performance Training. Being Oklahoma's only MBSC Thrive licensed facility, we're going to help athletes with injury reduction, avoid overuse injuries, and of course, get you bigger, faster, and stronger. We want you to be able to move properly in our controlled environment, so when you're playing on the field or court, it becomes second nature. All athletes will have a detailed workout plan and work in groups of less than 10 other athletes. So if you're ready to go all in and train with the pros, call us at 918-949-4223 or online at excelperformancetraining.com. Next season starts now with Excel Performance Training.
The sports animal. The sports animal.
For those watching on the OKPREPS network, you've already seen the amazing changes to OKPREPS.tv. For those listening on the Sports Animal, come look at the new and improved OKPREPS.tv. It's now more fan-friendly. OKPREPS has school pages for every school across Oklahoma, and with updated team pages and, of course, that can't-miss coverage and live broadcasts, OKPREPS has become the state's all-around leader for high school sports. We welcome you back to the OKPREPS Roundup, just another great part of the OKPREPS network. I'm your host, Michael Knight, joined, as always, by Ben Johnson. Final segment, and we're going to dive in to the debate and argument of where the 6A and 5A state tournament should be held. We launched the poll yesterday around this time, and we'll do that every single Friday for those listening on the Sports Animal. We'll be launching a Your Take poll, and it'll be accompanied with the Roundup video player every single Saturday morning, but we'll launch it on Friday. We'll ask the question, and this week it was, where do you want the 6A and 5A state tournament to be held? And we've had a bunch of votes. We have had a couple of comments as well. Chesapeake Arena with 54% of the vote. We did have one comment from one of our listeners. The Oklahoma City area already hosts the smaller school championships. You have to spread it out and give the Tulsa metro area 5A and 6A, or you can go back to every other year trade between the venues, which I think that could turn into a huge headache if you're going back and forth. I like the idea of 3-year contracts. So Chesapeake Arena getting the majority of the vote, BOK Center with 19%, ORU's Maybe Center with 12%. Ben, we've had about 24 hours to think about, where we'd like to see it, and I think we both agree we'd like to see it remain at the ORU Maybe Center. Just your thoughts on it.
This year it would have been great if maybe, say, the large schools were in Oklahoma City, because while Eisenhower is playing in a state championship game, maybe someone from the Tulsa area can hop over to the fairgrounds and watch the 4A title game in boys. And that's the case where, I think that would be great to be able to bounce back and forth if that's something you want to do. A lot of people probably don't. They probably just want to see the 5A, 6A, or they want to see small school.
Right.
It's kind of preference. Unless you're tied to one school, and if you are, there's a good chance you're not going to watch the other games anyways. So, in that sense, I'm with you. I would like to see Tulsa stay in the mix. I think it's proven that the Maybe Center has done a pretty good job over the years. 11,000 seats is great. Don't really have to worry about turning people away. That, one thing about TU, I've always liked the Reynolds Center. I went to the very first TU basketball game there back in the day. I've always liked the place. I don't think we would run into a problem where capacity would be an issue.
Right.
But, who's to say that there's not a, Rodney Clark and Page matchup again, and people are just wanting to bust down the door to get in. I don't think you're going to run into that problem at the Maybe Center. Plus, when you're talking about state tournaments, logistics is always an issue.
Yeah.
And the Maybe Center has 4 huge parking lots that are never going to be an issue.
Right.
You go to on-site places like TU, you don't know if you're catching them during spring break or whatnot. Parking could be an issue. That's the same thing with the BOK and those downtown venues in Oklahoma City. Parking becomes an issue on Thursday and Friday. OU wouldn't be a problem, but most people just don't really get that Lloyd Noble Center vibe for the state tournament.
Mainly because the last time they hosted it, it was terrible as far as the atmosphere.
Right.
They didn't even have the lower bowl open for people to sit in, so that kind of tells you how OU looks at the state tournament.
Right.
Well, it's this thing that we're hosting this weekend. You guys can come.
Right.
And if you want to sit in the upper section, great, go ahead. But other than that, not going to put that much of an effort into it. So
Right.
I don't see OU as an option. Like Jacob mentioned, the last time back when it was the Ford Center, again, struggles. I know they got 54% of the vote, but at the same time, I think you're going to have some issues. I like the idea of the Cox Business Center, but I don't think Tulsa and specifically ORU is going to let this leave the town. If it does go away from the Maybe Center, I like the BOK Center as being that spot for the state tournaments because you're in that vicinity in downtown Tulsa, and we've seen over the last 2 years with the high school showcase that fans will come. And obviously that's just a one-day event where it's just a regular season game that I know coaches will be like, well, most of the time it's a conference matchup, and
Right.
conference titles mean something. No, it doesn't.
Right.
It does not mean anything. It's okay.
You don't get rings for winning the Frontier Valley Conference.
No, they don't. They don't even get shirts. No
Right.
banners. No banners being lifted for that. But if there's an actual state tournament, I have a feeling that the BOK Center might be a place, and I think that fans would be receptive to it, and we would see a huge number. What ORU has is momentum right now. I feel like this last state tournament was one of the best in the recent years as far as overall total of numbers. And I don't have the numbers in front of me. I have no idea how many people there, but I was there the last 2 days, and it seemed full a lot of the time.
And those are numbers with 5A and 6A boys games with West Side teams in them.
That's with a game at 9 a game that tipped after 9 p.m. with 2 West Side teams in it happening in Tulsa, and there was a lot of people in that arena. So I don't see how ORU is going to let this thing get out of their maybe center, because it seems like the perfect fit. I know that they love it. I know that they like having the event there. I don't see it happening. If it does, look for the BOK Center to be that second place, because they're definitely putting an added emphasis in hosting events like this with the last 2 years of the high school showcase, and I don't think we're going to see that go away anytime soon at the BOK. So don't be surprised if you see the state tournament at the BOK Center, or maybe it's a joint thing. Maybe they do a dual thing. Look, there's a lot of options. You can get creative.
Yeah.
I know that's not.
Yeah, I could go for that.
You can get a little creative. We want to thank all the people who voted on the Your Take. We want to thank all of our guests, Shannon Dobson of Broken Arrow, Brian Keith of Verdigris, Brent Marley for joining the program, as well as Josh of Rivals with his recruiting guru hat on. He was out in the Under Armour Houston deal, so we appreciate him for taking some time and joining us. And, of course, Jacob Unruh of the Oklahoman for joining us in our last segment. Thanks to everybody who voted on any of the polls that are currently available on OKPREPS.tv. He's Ben Johnson. It's been fun. 2 hours flew by again.
Yep, every week.
We'll do it again next week.
Why not?
We'll see. We'll see if they let us back.
All right.
They might lock the doors. I'd lock the doors. I'm not going to lock the doors. He's Ben Johnson. I'm Michael Knight. This has been another edition of the OK Preps Roundup, not only on your home for sports, but also streaming live all over the world on the OK Preps Network.
This is Sean Garner, owner and head strength coach of Excel Performance Training. Being Oklahoma's only MBSC Thrive licensed facility, we're going to help athletes with injury reduction, avoid overuse injuries, and of course, get you bigger, faster, and stronger. We want you to be able to move properly in our controlled environment, so when you're playing on the field or court, it becomes second nature. All athletes will have a detailed workout plan and work in groups of less than 10 other athletes. So if you're ready to go all in and train with the pros, call us at 918-949-4223 or online at excelperformancetraining.com. Next season starts now with Excel Performance Training.